Hello everyone. When you play Team Fortress 2 long enough, especially in competitive, you'll start to notice something about people. They don't like to change. And it's not just because they're lazy or uninformed. People resist change for a bunch of reasons, some personal, some practical. Routine makes people feel safe. It gives a sense of control, and when that's disrupted, whether in a game or in life, it can feel like the floor has been pulled out from under them. Even a small adjustment, like a strategy shift or asking someone to play a different class or role, can set off resistance if they feel like they weren't part of the decision. Sometimes people don't see the point. Sometimes they're afraid it'll go wrong. Sometimes they're just too used to doing it their way. And they don't want to feel like they've been wrong this whole time. It's not just a meta thing or a skill ceiling thing. It's human nature. You'll run into teammates who've been doing the same thing for years. Same FOV, same bind layout, same map habits, completely locked in these things. Doesn't matter if it's working, what matters is that it's working for them. It's what they know and they're sticking to it. But the real issue isn't just about strategy, it's about stubbornness. We all know someone like this. Maybe not in TF2, but somewhere in your life. The one guy who hates dolphins. Not in a joking way either, like full-on, unironic, bigoted hatred of dolphins for some reason. One day you're talking and out of nowhere it's, dolphins are actually terrible, right? And now you're in that conversation with them. Maybe they go off on a whole rant about why dolphins are secretly villains, or maybe they just offer nothing. Just this brooding vibe of anti-dolphin energy. No real reason. And you try to move on. But the weird part is, you can't. Every time dolphins come up, it's like starting from zero. They reset, it loops. Like arguing with a Bethesda NPC who's been programmed to say the same thing forever. You've already exhausted all the dialogue options. You just want to hit X to skip what they're saying, move on, load to the next quest. But you can't. Sometimes you can't. Because that dolphin guy can be your coworker, your brother-in-law, or your medic. And here's the thing. You can't always fix people. Generally, you can't. Not in game, not in real life. They're not puzzles to solve or bugs to patch. They're just people. Wang Zhu once said that the wise man uses his mind like a mirror. It grasps at nothing. It refuses nothing. It receives but does not keep. In layman's terms, he lets people be, doesn't cling, doesn't push. The old Taoists didn't believe in forcing clarity through control. They believed you get it through stillness, presence, letting the moment unfold. It's quiet wisdom, slow wisdom, a deep breath wisdom. And from this, one of the most valuable lessons I've learned, both in games and from life, is simply to slow down. Seriously, just slow down. Here's a personal example. Everyone I know, personally, has at least seen the old Call of Duty days. Those lobbies, the chaos from voice chats, the golden age of Call of Duty, or whatever. I used to be awful at COD. What 10-year-old wasn't? My kill-death ratio was trash. I couldn't land shots. I was always bottom fragging in search and destroy with friends on weekends. I tweak my sensitivity constantly, trying to find some perfect middle ground. Like how I mess with my sensitivity now every time I lose to friends in MGE. I'd go for trick shots, sprint around like a lunatic, trying to force this greatness, but nothing worked. Then one Christmas, everything changed. I got my first real laptop, gaming laptop that you'd see at like Best Buy. My first Steam gift card to spend on video games. My first game of TF2 on this laptop. I spent $20 on cosmetics from the new community market and jumped into a match of Pyro and Gorge, having no clue what I was doing. I didn't know what classes were, I didn't understand source movement. I just picked Pyro and assumed it was like picking a default class in any other shooter. I walked forward, I WM1'd into heavies, and I died a lot. My sensitivity was way too high, and I couldn't turn around fast enough to stop spies or track targets. It felt really clunky and boxy. I almost gave up. But something told me to stop this tweaking, stop rushing, and just take my time. This game of Gorge rewired my brain. It was the first time I felt what it meant to move with intention, to look before acting, to stop flicking and start thinking. When I went back to Call of Duty after that match to play with friends, I dropped my sensitivity and permanently set it on something really low, just like I had done in TF2. and the difference was almost instant. I wasn't cracked, but I was certainly more calm, more accurate, and more present in these games. These maps started feeling way more simple, and this game felt way more easy. And I started this failing upward. The adjustment period sucked at first with this sensitivity, but eventually I was getting gold guns left and right. My KD ratio skyrocketed. I wasn't raging. I was enjoying the game again, because it's fun to win. I even made up this dumb 10 death rule, where I had such an ego at this time, where if I died more than 10 times, I'd call it a bad match. My friends joked about it constantly and made fun of me for it, but it meant something to me. It was the beginning of playing with such a strong clarity. And it's the same thing in TF2, like a demo review. When you slow down and you start to see things, how a fight unfolds, what your teammate's thinking, when to commit and where to bait, you start responding instead of this reacting. And that doesn't just help your game. It helps you communicate with people. It really does. It is not about changing someone's mind. It's about showing them a different angle and letting them meet you halfway, if they want. Some people won't. One of my earliest TF2 teammates played with such an insanely high sensitivity that even moving their mouse a millimeter, they showed us on camera, made them spin like a Beyblade. Everyone on this team begged them to lower it for their own aim's sake, for our team's cohesion, for basic visual sanity when spectating them, and mainly so that our combo wouldn't keep losing fights. But they refused, and they're still spinning to this day. And you know what? That's just who they are. You'll meet people like this in life too. Maybe they use 54 FOV. Maybe they hate dolphins. Maybe they're locked in some weird online ideology about the beggar's bazooka, or they have a strange personal rule book about like playing MGE they won't explain. Some folks are like stones. They're sculptures, movements. You can't sculpt them. You just walk around them. Sometimes you're lucky and find your people, those who think like you. And this is what we want, at least in theory. Or at least they listen to you. That's the ideal. But a lot of the time, you won't. Sometimes it's family. Sometimes it's someone you'll never fully be able to avoid. And in those moments, willful ignorance can be a gift. You don't need to win any conversation with them. You don't need to convince them that combo holding choke isn't the only strat. Sometimes you just need a nod, let them say their piece, let them do what they're going to do, and you carry out your plan anyway. Slowing down lets you think. It helps you notice when you're the stubborn one, because we all get stuck in the mud and mad at seeing what happened to our shoes. We all flick when we should aim. We all try to sprint through what needs walking. Slowing down lets you breathe between these frames. It's clarity, not just in Team Fortress 2, but in thought, in conflict, in relationship, and in your own life. So next time you're stuck, whether in a garbage map review or a circular conversation that you don't see ending, don't sprint, walk, look around, listen. Whether it's TF2, some old Call of Duty game, or real life, you eat the elephant, one bite at a time. And if you've got a story like this, something strange, personal, something that made you pause, I'd love to hear it down below. Thank you. And as always, take care and beware.